Good evening, members of the community. My name is John Janakos, and on behalf of the Maryland Economic Development Corporation and the Maryland National Capital Parks and Planning Commission of Prince George's County, I'm glad to present to you Largo Headquarters Project. Now, for this evening, if you're interested in how you can participate through Microsoft Teams or have questions, this presentation will be recorded and may be used in other communication vehicles. By continuing to participate in this conversation, you agree to be recorded and to be used in other communication efforts. While the presentation is occurring, please mute yourself and turn off your video until called upon. There will be a portion of the discussion at the end, in which we'll have discussion questions. So if you have a question or comment, please hold off till the end when the discussion period is opened. During the discussion section, please raise your hand and unmute yourself when called upon. We will enable discussion during that time frame. Or if you want to, you can type your question into the chat. You can see below an example of how to set up your Teams interaction to turn off your camera, to mute, raise your hand, and to open meeting chat. At the end of this presentation, there will be information on a website and email addresses in which you can submit other questions that come to mind and avail yourself of additional project information that comes up as the project develops. Thank you, and look forward to presenting to you this evening. So today we'll cover a variety of topics. We will review the project background and goals. We'll introduce briefly the project team. We'll explore the project design. We'll identify next steps for the project. And then we will take questions from the audience at the end. So why Largo headquarters? The planning board and planning department of the M-NCPPC, or the commission, were told to move from their current offices in Upper Marlboro and could not move into the Wayne K. Curry building as previously planned. The county executive requested and directed M-NCPPC to move to Downtown Largo and to increase its building size to comply with the Blue Line Corridor Plan. To comply with the directive from the county executive's office, Parks and Recreation were asked to join Largo headquarters. So both planning and Parks and Recreation from M-NCPPC joined together. Between those two divisions of M-NCPPC, there are scattered locations throughout Prince George's County in which the commission pays for leased office space. So combining these services into one location would offer greater efficiencies to the public, and a co-location would also help consolidate operations and increase efficiency from the commission's standpoint. The Largo headquarters will be impactful for the surrounding community and be an economic driver for the county in its Largo headquarters location. Certain project goals were identified as part of Largo headquarters. These included enhancing the efficiency of delivering M-NCPPC services to the community, sustainability for environment and the commission in the development of the project and ongoing operations, promoting multimodal transportation and accessibility to the Largo headquarters location. As mentioned, consolidation of M-NCPPC operations into one location, inclusion of minority business entities. We've set a goal of 30% MBE, minority business enterprise, LBE, local business enterprise, and WBE, women business enterprise inclusion goals for this particular project. That is a unified goal. Also, activating and anchoring the Largo Town Center site, and, as previously mentioned, advancing the Blue Line Corridor Plan as well. As far as project location details, the project is located at the northwest corner of Lotsford Road and Grand Boulevard, which is part of downtown Largo. The site is 3.29 acres, and it is immediately adjacent to the Largo Metro Station. It is currently zoned MXT, and the new zoning as of April 1st will be RTO-H-C. This complies with the sector plan from 2013, the approved Largo Center sector plan, and this project will be reviewed through the mandatory referral process per sections 20-301 through 305 of the Maryland Land Use article. I'd like to introduce the project team to you. You can see the logos of the team members here, which I will discuss in just a moment, but combined, team members have over 97 years of work in Prince George's County, over 300 real estate development projects in Prince George's County, over $3 billion worth of projects in Prince George's County, and include MBE, LBE, and WBE participation, as previously noted. Our architect is Grimmon Parker, which is both an LBE and WBE. Warren Builds, which is an LBE and MBE. Medco, the Maryland Economic Development Corporation, which is a quasi-governmental entity. James Posey and Associates for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering services. Mahan Reichel for landscaping services, which is MBE and WBE. HGC Project Management. Gilbane Construction as our primary contractor, and Century Engineering for our civil engineering work. Century Engineering is an MBE and WB as well. I would also note that Warren Builds is our secondary contractor, and as mentioned, Grimmon Parker is our architect. So, a brief overview of the project as it currently is designed. It is a 10-story building containing approximately 345,000 square feet of space. It has an adjoining 500 space parking garage for visitors and staff. And as mentioned, it would be a one-stop shop for key M-NCPPC services, both from the planning and parks and recreation side. There is also 5,000 square feet of ground floor retail space yet to be programmed. There's an outdoor plaza and activity space also in the design. Inside, there will be a public meeting space, including 250 seat capacity auditorium, and building is characterized for LEED and Fitwell certification. LEED is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, and Fitwell is a certification that prioritizes wellness for workplace and for visitors and staff members in regards to their health and usage of the facility. Project Largo headquarters will also entail certain key green building features, as previously mentioned, pursuing LEED and Fitwell certifications for health and wellness. The exterior design and the infrastructure of the building will be designed to maximize efficiency, both from the systems perspective and for operations, keeping green in mind. Pursuing solar panels and furtherance of green initiatives as part of the building's build out, and electric vehicle chargers will also be included as part of the parking garage elements. During construction, the use of green materials will be availed in order to keep the carbon footprint of the building down, and there are 2 green roofs associated with the project at this point in time to activate additional outdoor space at other elevations. From a landscaping and stormwater management perspective, Largo headquarters is going to avail itself of native plant species for the planting beds and trees. This would also include the green roof areas as well. It's intended to embrace multimodal multiple modes of circulation and transportation to and from the site to allow the public to access those areas. There's the public plaza and activity spaces also ground level to activate those areas and to invite the public into that space and activate it from there, as well as capturing and quality treatment of stormwater on site. To that extent, we're going to explore cisterns, which are large containers for containing rainwater for its reuse in areas such as the green roof areas and the landscaped areas around the building itself. Bringing public amenities as part of the Largo headquarters is very important to us. So some of the public amenities we are intending to bring is multimodal surface access to the building and parking. This involves proximity to the metro station and bike racks to allow multiple modes of transportation in getting to the site. Uh, Public plaza in the courtyard to help with circulation of pedestrian traffic through, uh, encouraging retail space traffic onto the first floor and having that as a public amenity space for both members of the building and the community especially, and a one-stop shop for M-NCPPC public services. Rather than having to go to multiple locations now, community members can come to one location and avail themselves of both planning and parks and recreation services in one location, in the close proximity to the regional medical center and other governmental services. From an economic impact perspective, uh, the Largo headquarters project will bring 800 M-NCPPC employees to the downtown Largo area. It's estimated to create an additional 1,000 jobs in the downtown Largo area and to add approximately $305 million in local economic activity on an annualized basis. Here's a look at our project timeline. Uh, Mandatory referral and in submission of site plans for permitting is an ongoing effort as of right now. We intend to keep community outreach and engagement ongoing throughout this process, is one thing I would not want to note here. We plan on finalizing the design in November of December of this year. We will submit for building permits with the Department of Permitting Inspections and Enforcement, known as DPI, in late 22, early 23, and intend to start construction in the spring of 2023 with the intent of opening the project in the fall of 2025. At this point in time, we will open up the chat site in order for you to submit your questions and concerns in regards to the presentation so far. And the last slide will conclude, as I mentioned, with 2 email addresses and a website in which you can avail yourself of additional information and or ask other questions that you either are not comfortable submitting at this point in time or would like to request at a later date.
So thank you so much, John. So if you have any questions at this moment, please feel free to use the raise hand feature or enter your question directly into the chat box. That way we can look at it and respond. So if you have any questions, please feel free to enter those into the chat box and we will call you up.
I believe we have one question that was entered in the chat feature during the presentation, and the person was asking if any of the space will be available for rent, the auditorium or other location.
Do you know that the retail space at this point in time is uncommitted, and that will be something that will be a space that will be up for rent? Programmatically, it has not been discussed whether the auditorium would be a space that would be rented out or availed to the public at this point in time. That is an ongoing programmatic discussion.
Tanya, I hope that answers your question. And I see we have another question from Casey Krumer. Will the green roofs be public spaces or more office-oriented spaces?
That's a good question. Uh, there are 2 green roof spaces, one on the 3rd floor and one on the upper floor. The intent for the 3rd floor area is a spot for members of the commission and their guests to assemble and have questions and discussions out. So there is, to the extent that you are accompanied by a member of the M-NCPPC team, availability to be able to go onto those green roof spaces from that perspective.
All righty. I see another question here from R. Ford. How will this building be oriented on Lotsford Road? What will face the residential homes and condos across the street?
So from the view that you are observing right now, the elevation that is most evident to us right here, is Lotsford Road. That is the elevation of the building that the residents, the current residents in the townhouses would see. And then the larger apartment building to the other side of Grand Boulevard, which is to your, if you're looking at the plan left, that would be the facade that is facing the multifamily location.
All right. Thank you, John. I hope that answers Casey Krumer and R. Ford. I hope that answers your two questions. Are there any? Oh, there we have another question that just came in.
Although I did want to add something to the first question, because there was a question about renting out the auditorium space. My understanding is that the auditorium is designed to be multi-programmed at this point in time, in interaction with the arts department that is part of Parks and Recreation. So they have plans on activating that, which they had alluded to, and not necessarily committed, but alluded to potentially having plays and things of that nature in that space. So not necessarily rented, but programmed in a way.
All righty, so we have two more questions that have come in. One
Yes.
that says, will there be an initiative to make all of the potential commercial real estate that might be on the docket for Largo to have green roofs as well?
That's a really good question. I don't believe, I would have to check the sector plan to confirm that. I do not believe that is a requirement, however.
And John, I can actually I'll try to take this question.
Sure.
So generally, just as a plug for the new zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations, I know our project manager, Chad Williams, is on the call. So the new zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations does require for all new development in Prince George's County as of April 1st, once the new zoning ordinance takes effect, it will be required to undergo a process what's called our green building standards. So all new commercial development will be required to have a medium percentage of green building aspects on site. Now that doesn't just, it is not solely green roofs, but that is certainly one of the options that a developer can take to satisfy those requirements. So I'll include some information about the zoning ordinance project, because that is certainly where that would, how that falls in. And as Downtown Largo is one of the key development sites for Prince George's County, of course, we want to make sure we see this a very green and vibrant area in this particular location.
Thank you, Brittany.
You're welcome. Tanya also has another question. I may have missed this, but is this currently commission-owned land?
Yes, it is.
So we have some positive feedback from Roberto. This is such a dynamic development project and great use of space that builds on the Blue Line and Downtown Largo initiatives. The placement is right at the metro and is great and will complement Caroline as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Roberto.
We have another question from Christina. How does this building activate Lotsford Road? What urban design features will contribute to the pedestrian realm?
That's a very good question here. You are looking at the Lotsford Road elevation right now. And as mentioned, I'm not sure, Brittany, if you can show with your cursor or not, but the bottom left-hand corner of the building is where the retail space is. That point, at that location right there, we'll continue with the sidewalk elements from there, and there have been discussions about other means in which to add other elements to that sidewalk area as well. But that corner is where the retail space is. Bring residents to that area and to that corner and along Mount Lotsford Road.
Again, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to add them into the chat box. We would love to hear from you about this project. All right. And John, while we're waiting for more questions to come in, can you just review the project schedule one last time for us?
Sure, be delighted to. Not a problem. Can you skip to that slide for me, please? Thank you. So as mentioned, mandatory referral and submission of the site plans for permitting with DPI will occur in the February-March timeframe, it being March 1st. Mandatory referral has already been submitted at this point in time, and we are looking to submit before the end of the month for plans related to site. We will then, in as mentioned before, we intend to provide outreach and engagement throughout this whole process and updates throughout this whole process to the community on progress of the project. We intend to finalize design on November, December 22, and late 22, early 23 to submit for building permits again with DPI. We intend to start construction on the site in the spring of 23 and finish the project and open the project by the fall of 25. So just a little over 2 years in the construction phase of the project.
Okay, and thank you, John. And then I know there's another, important date that's coming up on March 24th. Can you just talk about that just briefly?
Yes, I believe we have a planning board meeting on March 24th. So the project team is very excited to have that discussion and to present during that time frame as well. We'll be discussing further design and schedule and approach to this project during that time frame.
All righty, thank you. And are there any additional questions? All right, and I'm going to just go back to our slideshow just to look at the entire view. And I also see we have some more questions. So I know the idea is for more multimodal transportation, but will the structure use underground parking or use the Metro Hospital from the Metro garage?
The intent is not to use Metro Hospital parking from that perspective. And as far as underground parking, the soil composition in this location is not ideal for subsurface parking due to water, the presence of water.
I see the feedback from Christina. What is the thought behind the drive out on Grand Boulevard?
I'm not sure whether the question is about the temporary parking location or the parking garage exit. If it is in regard to the turnoff for temporary parking or short-term parking, the intent for that is to avoid FedEx, Amazon, and other delivery services from parking and blocking traffic along Grand Boulevard. There's also other programmatic elements inside the building that would grant themselves towards short-term parking, meaning that you can park your car for 15 minutes, go in, avail yourself of some of the public services, and then come back to your car very quickly without having to take a parking spot in the garage. So that is the intent of the turn on, turn off, or turn in, turn out option that's shown kind of in the middle of the plan here on this slide. But that is the intent, to alleviate double parking or blocking traffic and enable for short-term quick visitations or drop-offs at the project location.
Thank you. And then there's also a question just around parking access and ensuring, how will the parking area be controlled?
Understood. Right now, the intent is to allow for parking for both visitors and employees within the parking garage. There is an adjacent WMATA owned and operated Metro garage, and the intent is to have this parking be available for both visitors and for staff members. We have not gotten to the design on how, if or how parking may or may not be bifurcated to ensure availability to both uses at this point.
Thank you again. Any additional questions? John, I'm going to go ahead and advance the slideshow to get to our contact information. But if there are any additional questions, please add your questions into the chat box.
So yeah, as I had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, if you have questions that come to mind afterwards, please feel free to jot down both email addresses here. And if you want to stay in touch with how design and other efforts are progressing, please copy down the largoheadquarters.com or hq.com website. And we'll be posting as we continue on with this very exciting project.
So our project team and John here will stick around to answer any additional questions that you all may have. But that concludes our presentation. So again, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to stick around, and our team will be here to respond to any questions that you all may have.
Hi, this is Suzanne King. I'm the Deputy Director for Administration for the Prince George's Planning Department. John, I just wanted to thank you for providing this presentation to the community, and Bridget and everyone who's been involved with really bringing this project and this community meeting to fruition. I'm sure I speak for everyone when we say we're so excited about this project. But not just because it's a new office space, but also because it's going to be a wonderful amenity in our county and in the downtown Largo area. So we are really excited about this project. And again, I encourage you, to the extent that you have any additional questions, you know, Brittany has put the information in the chat in terms of how you can reach us for questions. But I also encourage you to check our website on a regular basis, because we will be updating the frequently asked questions and really aiming to keep the community informed about the progress of this project. So again, thank you everyone. And I would really also like to provide a special thank you to our community members who took time out of their busy schedules today to come and hear about this project. And we look forward to your engagement around this project, and also coming to visit when it comes to fruition. So thanks again, everyone.
I believe we had a few more questions or comments come in through the chat. Casey Krumer asks, is there any plan to potentially expand the complex for more county offices or even rentable private office space?
At this point of time, there are not plans for that, at least at this location, at this piece of property.
All right, and then we have one more question about the retail space. What might be, so there's a comment, the retail space will be vacant until a tenant is secured. If that is the only place of activation on Lotsford Road, then there will be a lack of activation on this prime corridor. John, can you speak to maybe some of the other activation initiatives that will be happening potentially with this particular site that might not necessarily just be retail oriented?
Yes. At this point in time, we are also pursuing the idea and concept. It's very early in the process from a design perspective, but also looking at activation through artwork and engaging the community through artwork as a possible way of, or another way of additionally activating that Lotsford Road location. So public art is one of those discussions that we've been having internally, feasibility of which is to be determined at this point in time. And there are other programmatic elements of that first floor space that could be shifted into other programming. There's no plans for that at this point in time, because as there is a need from the commission's perspective to use that space. But if their demand does come about, there are some options that have been discussed internally as potential program shifts to that space. Those are some of the topics that we've been discussing, but have not come to any conclusions on at this point.
Thank you, John. And just to reiterate John's comments, here is the slideshow. Here is the example or the rendering of the building with some of the public space features also noted here as well.
Yeah, this is the corner of Grand Boulevard, starts to the right and cascades to the diagonal to the left, and then Lotsford Road trajects its way kind of from left to right. So the storefront area, the retail space is all that first floor glass area that wraps the corner onto Lotsford. Well, really appreciate everyone's time this evening. I hope you have an enjoyable rest of your evening. Thank you for the team and thank you to the commission. And I hope you have a fantastic evening and the rest of the night.